G'day, you're listening to the Virtual Staff Room, and this is episode 18, The Learning Trail. As the idea of a 21st century education starts to take hold, we'll be finding our students making more and more of their work as digital assets rather than physical assets. So things that maybe once upon a time were a physical printed piece of paper is more likely to exist in a digital format. Students are more likely to produce work that is audio or video or multimedia of some description. And so one of the big challenges is going to become for teachers in the future to how do we track all this stuff? How do we actually manage it and control it and try and keep our head around what our students have actually done? So in this episode, it gives me a great pleasure to talk with a lady by the name of Anne Wade. And Anne is a researcher at the University of Concordia in Montreal. And these guys are doing some really interesting work with a system called ePearl. And ePearl is a tracking system for digital assets. It's basically like an e-portfolio. So as students produce work during the course of their educational lifetime, their assets go directly into this ePearl student tracking system. And it's got some wonderful advantages and benefits, and Anne in this episode will explain those to us, and I hope you get something out of this. I think it really is going to be the future of the way we store students' work. So here we go. Thanks, Anne. Well, Anne Wade, tell us about what you do.
Okay, well, I'm actually the manager of this research center. So the ePearl project is it's one piece of my job, but in the last year or so, it's become sort of the largest piece because the project has really expanded and taken off. So I'm sort of coordinating the project, but we're a huge team. And it's a multidisciplinary team of designers and instructional designers and researchers and graduate students.
Now, this is based out of the University of Concordia in Montreal, correct?
Yeah, that's right. That's where our research center is housed, but we actually have researchers from 8 different institutions. So, our scope is much broader than just Concordia University.
Right.
But the ePearl team is based at Concordia, and that's where our design and development team is based.
Right.
Because we have some neat programs at Concordia, a design art program where they train students in computer science, but also design art. Okay. So they come out with a very unique skill set where they have the design and the graphic design,
yep,
but they also have the technical expertise. So we hire a lot of graduates from that program, and I think that's one of the things that makes our educational tools so unique is that there is that interface for kids, that engaging interface.
Yeah. So tell me in a nutshell then, ePearl, how would you describe it to somebody who's never seen it? And we'll point people over to have a look at a demo, but how would you describe it?
ePearl is more than just a multimedia container for student work. It's an acronym for Electronic Portfolio Encouraging Active Reflective Learning. And we see it more as a learning portfolio or a process portfolio, although it also has the capability for being more of a showcase portfolio. So, depending on what your needs are, you can do both. So, in fact, it's divided into 2 environments. A workspace environment, which is sort of the learning portfolio aspect, and then the portfolio, which is where one stores their work. And we actually call it an artifact at that point. To sort of represent the fact that it's a product.
Right.
At this point, it's finished, it's completed, and you're storing it in your portfolio and reflecting on it and obtaining feedback on it, but that's at the end of the process.
Right. So what sort of things so this is for kids to store things in?
So what sort of things can
Right.
they
So
store?
they can store anything, actually.
Any digital media?
They can store digital video applications, work that was created in application software like Word or PowerPoint or QuickTime. In the workspace, like this is the area where they go to create new work, which may or may not end up in their portfolio.
Right, got it, yep.
Basically, what we've tried to design is an environment that supports self-regulated learning. So it follows Zimmerman's model of sort of this iterative cycle where which starts with forethought, where the kids are planning where they hope to go and what they hope to achieve.
Right.
And then the next phase is performance, and that's where they actually go to do their work. And then following that is the reflection stage and sort of the evaluation stage. And this is where they obtain feedback from their parents, their peers, or their teachers. And they do some self-reflection. And then they go back and possibly revise and improve their work based on what they've learned, from others and from their own self-reflection. And then they can store that revision as a second piece in their workspace.
Okay.
So the idea is that they're tracking their learning.
Yep.
And they're seeing how their work is improving over time. And then at a particular point in the school year, the teacher may request that the kids select pieces for their portfolio. So those pieces may have been created in our workspace, in which case they can be copied over.
Right.
Or they're created outside of the tool. So they'd have to be digitized, and then they're linked.
Yep.
So within our software, there's the ability to link to files.
Okay.
So,
Yep.
and as we mentioned previously, those files can be created in any software. You just need to have the software on your machine in order to view them.
Wow.
And one other thing I should mention is in the Create Work environment, we have a recorder, which allows kids to record directly into the computer.
As like a screen recorder, so they can capture what they're doing on the screen.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, neat.
And it's incredibly powerful because it's so easy.
Yep.
And especially with the younger kids, I mean, the recorder is used primarily to track their reading development. So, and then the older kids can record their oral presentation to get a sense of what they sound like and if they're talking too quickly or, maybe not talking with enough emotion or whatever. So it gives them a chance for self-examination by listening to their recorded oral skills, or they can record musical segments and things. They can record anything.
Wow.
And it's
And
really...
this is all built into one self-contained package?
Yes, exactly.
Wow. And you guys developed this whole thing, right, like from the ground up?
Yeah. So, sorry, Chris, let me just back up a little bit. So the mandate of our research center is to research effective teaching practices and to learn more about how kids learn and how we can improve student learning. And so we do, field research, but we also develop educational tools which we make available at no charge to the educational community. And we hope that people will partner with us on these projects and allow us to collect data so that we can improve the tools.
Wow.
So it's very iterative.
Yeah,
we design, first of all, we use the evidence to feed the design. Then we design the tools, we field test them with our partners.
Get more evidence, redo.
Yeah, get more evidence.
So you're evolving the product rather than just designing it.
Exactly. Yeah. And and that initial design it's not only based on what the evidence says, but we have a lot of input from the field. So we have teachers and educational consultants feed our design as well, so that we make sure we're not designing in a vacuum, so that it's relevant and it meets the needs of the teachers and the students.
What age group is this aimed at, Anne?
Pardon me?
What age group is this aimed at?
Okay, so it's we decided 2 years ago with our partners at Learn, okay, and they're sort of a pseudo-government organization that develops material for the school boards, the English school boards. They are very active partners and have been instrumental in helping us design ePearl. And we decided in conjunction with them that we wanted one tool for the whole province.
Right.
And so we decided to develop 3 levels. Level 1 for early elementary students, Level 2 for late elementary students, and Level 3 for secondary students. And each level builds in terms of its sophistication.
Right.
So there's
elementary and
consistency.
high school in Quebec. When does high school start in Quebec? Is it year 9, like Ontario?
In grade 7.
Grade 7. Okay.
And we go to grade 11.
Okay. Right. And
We actually hope to design a level 4 for post-secondary, but we're not there yet.
Right. Okay. And it's all bilingual, of course, being from Quebec.
You can toggle and flip between French and English.
Right. Wow.
So for the level 1s, the focus there is on reading, because they're the beginning readers.
Yep.
And so they can record their reading. We even have access to our early literacy software called Abracadabra. So there are digital stories, and the illustrations from those stories are accessible from in ePearl. So we're very excited about that. We've just designed that this past year, and it allows kids who may not have a literature-rich environment at home to access books.
Okay.
And they can record their reading, so the teachers can track where they're experiencing difficulty. And then there's also a writing segment in level 1, and there's a text editor, and they can link to, they can link to any files.
Right.
So if they've drawn a picture of the book, and they can scan it in or take a picture and link to that. And then we've also, in level 1, we just introduce them to self-regulation principles. So they learn to set a goal before they do a reading. And then they reflect on their reading, and that reflection can be in the form of an audio, or they can type their reflection in, or they can draw a picture that represents their reflection and scan that in. So we're always trying to encourage the display of learning through multimedia. That's what there's never just one way to reflect or to enter a work. You can do it through audio, you can type, or you can link to files. And that's faithful to our curriculum here in Quebec, which really is encouraging that sort of media literacy and the ability to display learning in using multiple mechanisms.
It sounds fascinating. So step me through. So a typical school day, or a typical situation or scenario for a student who's using this ePearl system, how does it play out on a practical day-to-day level?
It's interesting you should ask that, Chris, actually, because we're just in the middle of designing a virtual tutorial that will take teachers through that process or that path. And there are really 2 paths that one can take. One is to go and create work in the tool, okay? And so the kids are creating their work in this self-regulated learning environment.
Right. And this hinges around the fact that the kids have access to a computer of some sort.
You hit it dead on, Chris, which is why we have the second environment or the second way to use it, and that's more as a digital portfolio, because the idea was that here in Quebec, our schools, the technology is not in place in our schools, such that the
I don't
kids
think
are
it's in
going to
place
be
like that anywhere in the world.
anywhere. Exactly. So the idea was that, look, they're not going to have the opportunity to create a lot of work online, to be, as much as we'd love them to be creating within this sort of self-regulated learning environment,
Yep.
it's
The
just
reality
not
is,
realistic.
yeah.
Right. So then we end up with this digital portfolio or electronic portfolio environment. So here, the collection is taking place outside of ePearl,
Yep.
potentially in the workspace,
Yep.
but not necessarily.
Yep.
Okay, so the assumption is that a lot of work is happening within the classroom. They're doing handwritten work.
Yep.
They're not using the technology, but then at a particular point, they are actively selecting. They're making decisions
Right.
about their work and what they would like to place in their portfolio.
Right. So how do they that analog work that gets digitized in through a scanning process or something?
Yeah. Yes, or what I've learned from the field by watching teachers is that many of them are taking pictures. And this is fantastic because you can store, three-dimensional pictures of three-dimensional
Yeah, well, and you can actually
objects.
document the process as well as the product.
Right, right. So in my daughter's portfolio, for example, she's got like an example of an artifact in her portfolio would be a photograph of her presenting her science project.
Right.
And then she's got a picture of her science project.
Right.
And then she's got the poster that she presented to her class about this experiment that they just saw.
Right.
And she's taken a picture of that as well.
Okay.
And so all of that is stored as one artifact.
Gotcha.
You can
Yep.
you can link up to 3 files. So, so she would then enter her goals that she had set before she did the science experiment. So presumably the teacher is getting them to set goals before they started to work on this project. And if they haven't set goals, that's okay. They don't have to enter a goal. Like the software is set up such that you use whatever feature in it that you're doing with your students. And if you're not having them set goals yet, maybe you're not there yet pedagogically, that's okay.
Yep.
So they would just link their work and then they would reflect on why they feel this particular science experiment is a good reflection of their learning and why they feel it belongs in their portfolio.
Right.
And then they would obtain feedback on it from their classmates or from their parents or from their teacher. And the teacher can actually provide feedback on the goals, if there were some, and on the reflection, and on the actual artifacts. So there are many opportunities for the teacher to provide feedback.
And that teacher feedback is stored digitally as well.
Oh, yeah.
And so all of these things that formed what you're calling an artifact. So you've got the work samples, plus there's documentation of the work, plus the finished work, plus the teacher's feedback on the work. So that all forms this thing called an artifact.
Yeah.
And that's all stored as kind of a bundle of stuff.
That's right. That's right.
Now,
in
a
addition,
non-technical term.
no, exactly. And the idea is you're accumulating this stuff
bundles of stuff
over an educational lifespan.
Okay.
So there's an area called the presentation folder, and you get this in every level. So even the level 1 students have a presentation folder. So at the end of a school year, they would go through another selection process and select, only those things that they want to carry forward for future years.
Right.
So it's sort of an archiving area. And they copy. Now, the reason why we do that here is we're in cycles here in Quebec.
Right.
So kids there's cycle 1, which is grades 1 and 2, and cycle 2, etc. So there are
Yep.
2 grades per cycle.
Yep.
So the idea is that they're collecting things in their portfolio over their cycle,
Gotcha. Yep.
over 2 years. Okay.
How
And
many
then at the end
artifacts would typically make up a cycle?
well, that's yet to be discovered, actually, Chris. Right now we're seeing the whole gamut. To be honest, the current version of ePearl, okay, only began in schools last year. So we're in our 2nd year of implementation. So we don't have
schools
a
are we
sense.
talking about here? Is it widely deployed?
Okay, just to give you a little bit of context about the project, we started partnering with school boards about 6 years ago. And so we had a different version of ePearl, okay, that it was called ePortfolio. And so we started very small scale. I'd say we had about a handful of schools in 2 school boards. Mm-hmm. Then last year we got this new version out, ePearl, which was really based on those previous digital portfolio software packages that were out in the field.
Yeah.
Ours as well as others.
Right.
Okay, so we took the best components from all of those tools and incorporated them in ePearl.
Right. Good artists copy and great artists steal, as Steve Jobs says.
Oh, yeah, I saw that quote in one of your emails. Exactly. So that's when we really started to scale up. And we formally partnered with 6 English school boards last year.
Right.
And I'd say there would be about between 3 and 5 schools in each school board that served as partners on this project.
Uh-huh.
Now, that doesn't mean everybody at the school is using it. In fact, sometimes we only had 1 teacher.
Sure.
But then this year, we received more funding to conduct a pan-Canadian study. So we're now actually in Alberta and we're in Manitoba.
Wow.
Every student in Manitoba has an ePearl account.
And by this year, you're talking about the North American school year starting in September.
That's right.
Yeah, right.
Right. So we're really scaling up. So at this point, we're just trying to get a handle on how many research sites we have. And for every experimental class, we need a control class.
Right.
Those who are not using ePearl. Mm-hmm. Okay. And we're pre-testing and post-testing both groups.
Will they share the same teacher?
No.
No? Okay.
No. And in some cases, they're not even in the same school, this control class.
Okay.
To the extent that we could, we're trying to get an equivalent class. But like I said, to the extent that we can. We're at the mercy of those who want to participate. And sometimes it can be difficult to get control classes because there's really no incentive for them, right?
Sure.
So, but unless they understand the value of the research and they believe in the whole idea about evidence-based practice, which is what we're trying to encourage, it can be difficult to get control classes. But anyway, we do have Manitoba, our research sites are set, and in Alberta as well, and in Quebec we're just finalizing that. So in each board we have at least 1 research site. And then I'd say in Manitoba and Alberta we have between 3 and 6 sites in each of those districts. So, but there are many others who are using the software. They're just not participating in the research.
Yep, gotcha.
So, and just one other comment about that is we did receive other funding from the Canadian Council on Learning for their knowledge exchange program. And this is to sort of the purpose of their program, the knowledge exchange program, is to disseminate innovative practices across the country. So we're going to be holding institutes in the spring in Alberta and Manitoba and Quebec, and we're going to get teachers that are using ePearl to come and show successful practices in the classroom. And we're going to be offering these institutes to non-users
Right.
in an attempt to get them interested and engaged, and hopefully get them using ePearl as well.
Wow. Sounds like a huge project.
Yeah,
What
yeah,
platform
yeah.
does it, is it Windows? Is it Mac? Is it cross-platform? How does it run? What's the technical background?
It's developed in PHP, so it's
Oh,
open
okay. So it's all
source.
web-based.
Yeah, yeah.
Runs through a browser.
That's right. And it's password protected.
Yep.
And the idea there was we really wanted parents engaged in this. So we wanted kids to be able to access their ePearls from home
Yep.
and work on them, but also sit in front of the computer with their parents and talk about their work and their artifacts and get feedback. And we're finding that this is really quite powerful as well, because there are a lot of divorced families, and it's allowing both parents to participate in their children's learning.
So who hosts all this stuff? Is this hosted on the university servers?
That's a great question. We do have that's where our demo sites are hosted.
Right.
Okay, so we do have some demo accounts where people can go and explore. But when a school board or district decides to use ePearl, they store it locally.
Yeah, right.
Because we don't want to be responsible for storing student data.
Sure.
So they install it. It's not a big process because really it's just a skeleton database.
Yeah,
right?
sure. And I guess it all runs on Linux.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, now don't ask me too many technical questions.
That's okay. That'll be the end of it.
Okay.
But
we can't go beyond there.
It's all open source, and it's all runs on a fairly free and open platform then.
Yes, that I can tell you.
And that's important.
And in terms of compatibility on the end user systems, it works for PCs.
Yeah.
Internet Explorer is used predominantly in our schools, and it works fine on that. And we recommend Firefox on the Macs as opposed to Safari.
I think everyone should be recommending Firefox.
Firefox. Well, the text editors and the recorder works better.
Yeah.
With Firefox. So.
Yeah. Wow.
So that's that. And generally speaking, we're not having a lot of technical issues. There is a little plug-in, a Java applet that you need to run the recorder. So the end user machines need to make sure that they need to be installed.
Right, with the latest version of Java. Or
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
How a 5-minute process.
How easily does the thing apply to different educational settings? So, for example, you've designed it for Quebec. It's obviously applying to other provinces in Canada. Is it something that would translate down to the US education systems, or even across to Europe or Australia?
Absolutely. We have it being used in Portugal, and we get requests from all over the world. And it is actually being used in some sites in Oregon and California. So when
this is freely available. There's no charge to run this.
No charge.
Except you commit, obviously, to being part of a research program.
You don't need to commit. Wow. Anybody can use the software. Wow. We can't force people to participate in the research. We'd love it if they would partner, but they don't have to. Right. One of the missions of our research center is that we want to develop educational tools, and ultimately we want to improve student learning.
Yeah.
And we want to impact. We want to make an impact on that. And so anything we develop, we want to get out there. We just want it used, and if people can tell us a little bit about their experience, even informally, like they don't have to be involved in our research project, but we ask them that they, try and keep in touch with us and just let us know how it's going, and even give us feedback on the software.
Yep.
So anybody can use it. And at the end of this call, I'll give you the URL where people can go and they can get my coordinates and request a demo site.
Good. Excellent.
And that's usually the process we go through. We send people to the demo site, and if they like what they see, then we'll send them the URL where they can go and actually get the software.
Yeah.
We just like to sort of keep track of who's using it, because we want to be able to send people updates or information about when we update the software, and we usually come out with a new version in August. So we'd like to be able to inform them when it has been made available. So,
Is the interface between the early, you said there were three versions, an earlier, sort of an intermediate, and a high school one. Is the interface essentially the same, or is it sort of, fun, bright colours for the little kids or something?
well, level 1 is quite distinct from level 2 and 3 because it is designed for reading and writing, and we wanted to make it very easy and simple to use because we didn't want the software to be an issue for the younger kids.
Yep.
We wanted them to be able to learn to use it very quickly. So there's no workspace and portfolio. Okay, it's combined in one.
Yeah.
So basically, when they go to store a reading, they're storing it in their portfolio.
Right, and so they're just storing everything.
Right. But remember, there's that presentation folder.
Yeah,
So they still do need to go through a selection process at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And copy things over. And then that is carried forward to the next level, that presentation folder. Okay, so that presentation folder is the cumulative area where they're building. So in theory, they could be storing items in there over 11 or 12 years. I mean, over their educational lifespan. Because in level 2, there's a presentation folder, and then subsequently in level 3.
Yep.
And then there's also the ability to export from there and save everything in HTML format.
Right.
So you can burn things to a CD.
Yeah.
So sorry, Chris, I'm getting off track though. So level 1 is really geared to the young learners. Level 2, because you have a portfolio environment, there is the opportunity for students to customize their portfolio. So here they have a welcome screen, and they can link to an image, and they can use the text editor to put a welcome message in, and they can select from one of 12 interfaces.
Okay.
So they have, the interfaces are very different.
And they're
depending on the age.
They're like skins that the kids can choose the look and feel for the work.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
So, when you get to level 3, the secondary students would just select an older interface.
Yeah.
And the terminology is a little bit more sophisticated. And we have in-context help all throughout the software. Okay, so if the kids are setting goals, there's a little question mark next to goals if they don't know how to set a goal. And they have examples in the help and often a link to a video clip where kids are setting goals and they're talking about how they go through that process. It's like a 2 to 3 minute video clip.
Yeah.
And so that help in level 3 is geared to the older learner.
Right.
So that's how it's different.
Yeah.
And then we have something in level 2 called a guided instruction in the workspace, where we guide children through the process. So they set a goal, and then they go on to the next step, which is to create work, and they're supported at all of these levels. It's really for those who are beginning to learn about how to do these processes.
Yeah.
So we only offer that in level 2. We don't offer guided instruction in level 3.
Yeah.
So that's another difference. But that's pretty much it at this point.
Right. Is there tools, just taking it beyond the presentation stage, is there anything in there for teachers to use as an assessment tool? Like, is there anything built in for assessment? So once the kids collect all this work, what happens then?
Okay. You're asking all sorts of great questions, Chris, because, you're hitting all the key issues right on. So, many of the electronic portfolio packages out there are assessment tools.
Right.
Okay. And our approach was we wanted a student tool.
Right.
So we talked about linking, giving students the ability to link an artifact to specific learning outcome criteria and things, okay? And so we were actually we thought about those linkages.
Right.
And we decided to avoid that in terms of linking to specific curricular objectives. And I guess our reasons for that were twofold. One is that we really wanted this to be a student-centered tool. And we obviously, the teachers are going to use it when they're evaluating their students because, I mean, this is their work.
Yep.
And they're going to be reviewing their work when they're during the evaluation process. But we didn't want to lose sight of our vision. And that this was really a learning tool as opposed to an assessment tool. So that was one reason. The other thing was that we knew it was going to be used across Canada and across North America and even the world.
Sure.
And we didn't want to sort of get pigeonholed into, a specific curriculum. And so we felt
I know that a lot of our work here is all outcomes based, but it's not like that everywhere in the world. So I guess if you design it for one system, it wouldn't work for others.
Right, exactly. So we wanted to, that generic. So I'll tell you what we've done in the software, because we recognize that, obviously teachers would love that. They'd love to be able to use ePearl as an assessment tool. So what we've done is when the kids are creating a new work or storing a new artifact, there is the ability to enter criteria. And these would be the learning outcomes associated for a particular assignment that they've been given. And they can also link to a rubric, because rubrics are used a lot here in Quebec, probably.
Yeah, well, I know they were in Ontario too.
Yes.
And here, yeah.
So there's really a movement to, using rubrics during the evaluation process. So we haven't seen a lot of use in terms of teachers using this feature in the software as yet. I don't think they're there yet. But the idea is that they would, sort of in a whole class setting, talk about what the various learning outcome criteria are for a given task. And then, the students would enter that together in their ePearl.
Right.
I mean, the young kids wouldn't be able to enter the criteria. They wouldn't know. So we thought that this would be the opportunity for teachers to talk about, what are the outcomes that we're trying to move toward.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And that they would do that together as a class. So there is the opportunity to enter that into the software.
Okay.
But there's nothing that's embedded within the software.
Right.
That there are no specific outcomes.
But you could use specific outcomes if a school system was imposing those upon you.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing is, Chris, you mentioned earlier, what makes this sort of a Quebec version, and I sideswiped that question, and my apologies about that. We have some curriculum connections in this software where there are some pull-down menus, because we have cross-curricular competencies that the kids, that the teachers are trying to integrate in their teaching. Right. So, problem solving, critical thinking skills, using information. So the kids can link to these curriculum things, but if you are a non-Quebec user, you can toggle that off, okay? So that sort of Quebec curriculum link you don't see.
Yeah, gotcha.
Okay? And that's the only difference right now.
Right.
Between the Quebec and the non-Quebec users, is we just toggle that off.
What's the response been like from the government there, the education? I don't know what you call it in Quebec, the education department. The powers that be.
Yeah, Well, it's called the Ministry of Education, Leisure and Sport.
Uh-huh.
So they've
Interesting
actually,
combination.
yes, yeah, that would be a new expansion, a recent expansion to our education ministry. So we call it MELS,
Right.
Education, Loisirs et Sport. So MELS is very supportive, actually, and they gave us funding last year to design those video clips that I was talking about that are in the help. So we were able to design 24 video clips and embed them in our software.
Oh, good. Well, I'll be sure to take a look at those.
Yeah, we're really excited about those
Yeah.
because it was sort of a different approach that we used.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
we didn't videotape the teachers talking about how they're using the software. We filmed the kids.
Yeah, yeah.
And we thought that, we really wanted to target students. Although certainly teachers can use these videos as well in a whole class setting, again, to sort of generate discussion about goal setting and reflection.
Yep.
But our primary audience for them is the student. And so when they are going through reflection, if they're having trouble, they can go and click on this video clip, which is very brief,
Yeah.
but it does show a student going through the process and talking about how they go through the process.
Right.
And it's a child who's their age so that they can relate.
Yep. Oh,
You know?
good.
So
Well,
we have secondary students.
Well, I'll get
talking to
those links
secretaries.
from you, and we'll make sure we put those in the show notes so that anyone who listens to this can wander over and have a look through some of those.
Very good.
That'd be great. I guess we better start winding it up, but I guess the other question I'll just finish off on is this is a research project. So, is there any sort of findings emerging from the research? Are you learning anything about the way people learn from what you're doing with this?
Last year, remember I had mentioned that we really started to use ePearl last year.
Yep.
Okay, so we wanted to give ourselves 1 year of training and supporting teachers in their use of ePearl before we went in and collected student data. Otherwise, we didn't feel it would be very meaningful. Okay, if teachers were only using ePearl sort of sporadically in their classes, it's not going to have an impact.
Sure.
So we collected some teacher pre-test and post-test data last year, and we pilot tested some student instruments. And this year is our big year.
Right.
And so we're just in the process of pre-testing the students. And now we have the control classes, so we're pre-testing them as well.
Cool.
So ask me again in the spring, Chris.
Right.
And hopefully we'll have some great results. I mean, I can tell you, just anecdotal evidence from what I've seen in the classrooms.
That's the best kind. Tell me the anecdotal. That's the
Yeah,
best kind.
I mean, the kids are so engaged. And I mean, we have a user in Portugal, who was using it with her at-risk kids.
Yep.
And she was teaching them English, and she just could not engage her class.
Yep.
And she started ePearl last year, and they'd come to class, say, "Miss, are we working on ePearl today?" And she saw advances in their writing skills because they really became engaged in learning how to speak English and write in English. So she is scaling up in her school this year, and there are others. Portugal, ePearl has really taken off in Portugal. And so, there are all sorts of instances like that.
Well,
it's very exciting, and we look forward to collecting data that will show these gains and engagement. So we'll keep you posted.
Yeah, that'd be
Any
great.
reports that we do, we'll put them on our website. So
Okay. Well, I'll link through to that. And
very good.
And I should thank Dave Blemmings, because Dave Blemmings is over in where's Dave? I think he's over in
He's in the
Alberta.
Prairie Rose district in
Yeah.
Alberta. Yeah.
Yeah, so he originally put me onto you and was telling me what a great system this was. So thanks very much for telling us all about it. It really sounds very
You're
good.
very welcome.
I'm going to go and check it out and might even download a copy and have a play with it.
Do you
I'm sure
do
we
you
have a
want the
spare
URL?
server somewhere at work.
Well, listen. I mean, I can send you the demo. We just a quick comment because you'll get a kick out of this, Chris. We had the demo site up
Yeah,
on our promotional site,
yeah.
and it quickly became replicated and pirated. Okay,
Really,
and
eh?
somebody, yeah, they replicated our entire promotional site and changed two names,
Who did
my
that?
name and the director's name, and they became the contact
You're
for
kidding.
this. And no, so we think that they were probably selling ePearl, and they were based in India. So
That's
my
terrible.
apologies, but we've had to take down the demo site, and it's on a per request basis only.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
And so we've told these guys to cease and desist. So I believe they're off the internet now, but we don't want it to happen again. So
Wow. There you go. All right,
yeah.
Anne. Well, thank you very much for sharing it with us. It's been fantastic.
Well, thank you for listening to me.
That's all right. That's all right. Thanks for sharing. I'll talk to you later.
I want to thank Anne for that. I really appreciate all those insights she gave us into the project. I had no idea that this sort of tool actually existed, and had no idea that they were certainly giving it away for free to try out and play with, and to even be part of the research. So thanks, Anne, for sharing all that. That's great. And also to Dave Blemmings too, for putting me onto Anne in the first place. So it's amazing how this little network's starting to pan out and people starting to say, you should talk to this person, and they've got lots to say. So keep it coming, guys. It's great. I've got 2 more episodes on the boil here. I've got another episode coming up where I get to chat with Carolyn Foote, a little off-the-cuff chat with Carolyn, who's a librarian in Texas. And then following that, coming up in episode 20, I've got a great fun chat with a whole bunch of educators from New Zealand who were at the ULearn conference. So look forward to that one. Those guys are those guys are like those Kiwis. They're just crazy and they're a lot of fun. So looking forward to that. I won't keep going on. As you can probably hear, my voice is a little bit raspy at the moment. I'm just getting over something. I don't know what it is, but I'll be glad when it's gone. In the meantime, I do appreciate you listening, and don't forget you can check out the links to everything Anne mentioned over on the website at www.virtualstaffroom.net, where we'll try and link up all of those resources she mentioned. So until next time, look after yourself, stay well. My name is Chris Betcher, and you've been listening to the Virtual Staff Room.
You didn't ask me for the URL.
No, that's why I came back, to get you. I do that all the
Okay,
time
do you
because
want-
I get to the end of the official part of the episode and I go, well, thanks very much for joining us and thanks, bye. And then I always sort of go, cut, but people hang up on me.